My name is Nayeem Lokhandwana. I'm a chief administrator here at Alternative to Meds in Sedona, Arizona. I also worked in the past year as a clinical director. I'm a licensed therapist in the behavioral health field in Arizona and California, and I've been in this field of counseling, psychotherapy, mental health, care management, case management, crisis interventions, and for the last 25 years, worked in California and Arizona both. We take people who are on psychiatric medications, ranging from antidepressants to even antipsychotics and anxiety medications, and we help them, if they are so willing and if they are so ready, to taper those meds and improve their quality of life, so to speak, at the same time. Anybody who's on meds or medications for anxiety, depressions, or other behavioral or emotional issues, there's a sense of some suppression. They are functioning, it is helping, or it is improving, or it is managing their symptoms, but it is not aiming at removing the root cause or going at a curative level, or at some level it's impairing or compromising their quality of life. So what we do is try to go to the bottom of it, do some lab work, blood work, heavy metal testing, mercury testing, adrenal functioning testing, all these different levels of inquiry we do to establish the root cause, and also look at digestive systems, food, diet, lifestyle, psychological issues, therapeutic issues. So it's like a more integrative, and the intention is that you just not remove the dependency on the psychiatric medicines that are addictive by itself, but also to improve the overall functioning of the psychospiritual, biological, physiological level. If somebody is coming with high anxiety or tendency to panic, or depressive tendencies, traumatic experiences, or what, or an inability to thrive in life, even though they are taking some medicines, or they can function but not thriving, right? Or they want to improve their performance or their level of quality of experiences of living. So they would come in for 30-day or 60-day or even a 90-day program, and they would go through a daily regimen of detoxification for 4 hours in the sauna, what we have is an exercise program, a sauna program, a glutathione nebulizing, a foot bath detox, massage, colonics. There's a whole broad range of services they get under the supervision of a naturopathic doctor and a psychiatrist, or a psychiatrist practitioner, nurse practitioner, or a medical doctor. Besides getting psychotherapy and psychoeducation on groups, and besides getting a good diet, a good food, and individual and group sessions. So at the end of the 30, 60, or 90 days, they definitely have reduction in not only the symptomology, which we measure before and after, but also an improvement in overall outlook in life, increase in aspirations and ambitions for the future, improvement in relationships, or making changes in the life, having the energy and the motivation to make the changes in their lives. So they'll leave on a more a strengthened immune system, a strengthened physiological system, perhaps a better digestive system, a better coping system, Mm-hmm. Oh, there's no real formula for, a diagnosis doesn't create a formula, in our model, right? So it's very individualized. So if somebody's coming in, we try to make it as much individualized as possible. Even their daily structure of detoxification and going through is individualized. The therapy is individualized. Their nutrition protocol, the supplement protocol is individualized. So I wouldn't say that there is a formula for each diagnosis or a protocol established. There are broad protocols, but it's fine-tuned to the biochemistry and the functioning of each individual. there is some value to psychiatry in terms of how it makes the person immediately functional or adaptive or get going. There's some value to it. If a person is profoundly depressed, you give them medicines, they will have some improvement in their mood or affect and their improvement. But in the long run, you're creating a dependency on these medicines, and you're also mandating, so to speak, for the individual, for the patient, to go through the side effects of those medicines, as it is like inevitable or unavoidable. So, in terms of looking at the pros and cons of psychiatry, you're creating a dependency on those medicines. You're asking the individual to endure the side effects of the medicines, and over the long run, there is an unknown element of what those side effects can cause to the mind, body, psychological, spiritual system of the person. So we don't know. It's largely negative because, if somebody is on, say, a mood stabilizer, they have to do a lot of tests to make sure that the lithium levels are normal, or the kidney functioning is normal, the liver functioning is normal, right? I'm not a doctor, but I've seen in my in the work that we do that people want to get off those medicines for their preservation and the long-term health. There is, what we do here is we take an individualized approach. We investigate more. So it's an investigation more of the blood chemistry, of the psychological traumatic aspects, or child abuse, or previous experiential aspects or genetic aspects. We do a more investigation to find out where could be the variables, which are the variables that could be causing the depressive tendencies or depression in the body mind system, right? So I would say that our approach differs from a normal psychiatric approach, which is about medicating for a certain outcome and looking at the neurochemistry of the brain itself. And we are looking at the whole body, mind, whole body functioning, including the digestive system, the hormonal system, as I said, the emotional psychological functioning, the profile, the personality traits of the person, So, it's a more person-centered approach. In holistic medicine, my passion is homeopathy. In kind of like when somebody comes in a center, we connect. We provide a whole connection. The whole entire team connects with that individual at a very, very deep level, at a very intimate level. And we spend time with them. We spend time getting to know them, getting to work with them at their own pace, taking care of their own sensitivities and their own proclivities to different modalities. Work with them. There's no force, or there's no pressure. This is all. It's like it's a collaborative approach to medicine. It's not a privileged approach to medicine. It is a collaborative approach to medicine. So that's a big difference, I think. A privileged approach is like you come to me and I tell you this is to be done, and you don't have a choice in that. You don't have a much say in that. This is the way. It's like my way or the highway, right? So here you come to me and we say, okay, what would you like to happen? Okay, this is what we have. Does that work for you? Will it work for you? If it doesn't work for you, can we try it out? If it doesn't work, can we try something else? Can we give this a chance? So it's a persuasive, approach. It is in hypnosis they call it suggestive, a suggestion approach. If you give a suggestion to a person, they're more likely to conform than to give a mandate or a authority to the person and say this is to be done, right? Oops. Respecting the creation of the God, so to speak, of the mind, body, of the health of the body. So we are not aggressive. There's no it is a subtle approach. It is a gentler approach. It is a time-based approach, and it's not like speed, like in which this is happening to the emotional or psychological or physiological, and we have to go hard on the body. You know what I'm saying? So it's a more gentler approach. It's a more human approach, I would imagine. We'll say that we'll go very slow. We'll go when you're ready. We'll go when at your pace. And at every cut and every taper, there'll be a reevaluation. There'll be a reassessment. There'll be a review of how that taper is going. You will have the support system of a 24/7 staff who are trained and motivated and passionate about giving care and helping people. So there's a supportive system in place, and there is a on-call, medical on-call and nurse on-call in place. So, and there's a lot of supplements and nutritional support given to the body while going through the tapering process. It's not a smooth ride for everybody. Some people have mild to moderate symptoms. Some people have mild to moderate, and some days very severe, and then go back to mild. So there's no there's no clear path. There's no clear map to it because how people respond and how. No, I'm not a homeopathic doctor or anything, but I've just studied it and myself, and the naturopathic doctor uses it here very effectively. And the homeopathic approach is a constitutional approach. It's an approach at looking at not the diseases, but the sickness, which is different. So you look at the sickness, which is looking at the symptoms, looking at the symptomology of the person, and treating it. So whether it's anxiety or depression, you're looking at the whole mind-body functioning of the person. You're taking the case, or you're taking the information of the person, not just about anxiety, but you're taking the information about sleep and about their general happiness in life. So what makes them sad, what makes them happy, what makes them excited, what makes them not excited, what makes them thrive, what makes them not thrive, what are their likes, dislikes, So you're looking at the whole person and giving them the homeopathic medicine that matches the entirely, that resonates with the energetic, or with the whole personality of the person, so to speak. So it resonates with that. When it starts resonating and it's given to them at a certain strength or a frequency and repetition, the person's constitutional, that means the physiological, biological functioning of the person, starts getting a response. There's a response from taking that medicine, from the vital force, from the life force that keeps us alive. It responds to that intervention by rebalancing itself. So sickness is seen as an imbalance, as a disequilibrium, so to speak, of a disruption of the homeostasis. And healing is seen as a recalibration back to the homeostasis back to the equilibrium, because the assumption is, or the vision is, that when the body gets the right functioning of the vital force, of the physical force, it naturally produces joy, positivity, adaptability, coping, and a thriving. We are born to thrive and be alive and be happy and be joyful and be, So anything that is anxiety or depression is seen as a dysfunction of the life force, of the vital force, that needs to be rebalanced, or can be rebalanced with the introduction of a resonating element. A resonating, what we in homeopathy is called a simimilum, which means, go ahead, which means like matching the human being's vitality and the disruption of the vital force with the right medicinal influence that helps the mind body to rebalance itself. I think, the philosophy and the paradigm of homeopathy is so out of the box. So to answer that question, I would say a long-term treatment of homeopathic medicine through the supervision of a qualified homeopathic doctor has an inherent promise. And that inherent promise is that if you are motivated to get better, or if you are motivated to overcome the triggers and overcome the propensity to addiction, the homeopathic medicine will keep strengthening and keep liberating you from the enslavement of those proclivities and the triggers. But it's not a medicine that can overcome your own will or your own impulsivity towards a decision that you have not made to overcome it. It can help make you the decision to overcome it. It can help motivate the decision to, to overcome it, but it cannot replace it, to my mind and in my opinion, after working in this field for many years. So the homeopathic medicine has a liberating impact on you, that the psychic energy that is locked into a certain pattern of trigger and proclivities or tendencies is kind of liberated from that, so that the energy that you have that is locked in there is then used for other purposes. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to make a point of a system that is both an art and a science. You can talk science, two human beings can have a conversation about science, but to talk about art requires a metaphor and imagery and as if comparisons. You can't, both two people looking at the same art will have a totally different experience. So I think what I'm trying to say is that the medicinal system of homeopathy is like an outlier, and it has this I could go to a homeopath and say, look, I don't have a motivation and I'm apathetic and I don't want to even change, I don't want to even do this, I don't want to even get up and take medicine in the morning. The homeopath will give you an active listening of that. And he's not going to say, oh, okay, I'm going to give you this medicine and then you're going to get up and do things like that. No, but it's the medicine will take away, liberate, at least help me it activates the self-healing mechanism inherent in the body. That we are built to self-heal. We are. And I think the holistic promise is that we just need help to self-heal. And I think at ATMC we implement that paradigm in a way that we help the body, we help the person to start the self-healing process. We are not saying, here is this, if you take this, you will, you'll get better, or this is it. You have to take responsibility for your own self-healing process, but we need help too. We need help too as human beings for everything. In the realm of diagnosis, that science and technology is like profoundly sophisticated and going further and further at the speed of light in terms of getting early diagnosis. The SPECT scans are there, and there is methylation blood chemistry profiles of genetic propensities towards diseases, that you can have a DNA established, of all the things that can go wrong. In the world of physiological health, you have a sophisticated MRI now. I was just propositioned 2 months ago, and $3,000 it was to have a full body scan of an MRI with very minimal X-ray radiation that can tell you in the next 20 years what diseases you will get. So in terms of diagnosis, we are going very far, right? But in terms of interventions, we still have very limited means in terms of in the established conventional medicine, in the alternative medicine. They're all fragmented, and they're all separate, with each one being very entrenched in their position. So the cross discipline in cooperation or collaboration is very, very limited, I think, in terms of holistic medicine. So with homeopathy, it's a standalone system. It looks at the whole mind, body, everything of the person, and then tries to through a very natural substance-based, energetic-based, tries to rebalance the body, mind. But in terms of holistic medicine, if you're looking at, there is an infinite amount of possibilities in terms of what can be done when collaboration can happen, when diagnosis meets equal level of the sophisticated level of interventions, when people who are treating come together and kind of, and I think there is a lot of progress. There's a lot of change happening already in the area. If you look around Arizona, so in Phoenix, there's so many integrative practices happening in Scottsdale. Many more holistic rehabs have been set up in the last 5-6 years. ATMC was the first or second one in the whole country, I think, at that time in 2012 or 13 when I started working here. And since then, many more are coming up. Attention deficit and attention distractibility, there's a lot of attention given to that, and the treatment of choice has been, giving a stimulant, which is not
You'll just keep looking at me.
which is not curative, it's giving a stimulant, right? So my answer to that question is that early diagnosis is good and fine and very, very worthy, but what are your interventions that would make them would make it helpful, would make it not the cure should not be worse than the disease. In the cure should be gentle, least damaging, and rapid. So I think that's where the whole system of holistic medicine is converging on: a rapid, gentle, permanent, effective, with minimal side effects, and making the organism, whether animal or human being, thrive. And we have a movement in the what do you call the, not new age, but self-growth movement happening in the whole, for the last so many years. There is a movement towards self-growth, consciousness arise, consciousness raising, growth happening, where humans want to experience more from life than just survival and reproduction. We want to find God, we want to find divinity, we want to find some meaning and purpose that is beyond just ego-based, driven of like accomplishment, that goes into survival and reproduction and safety, security, and you want to go beyond safety and security as human beings, right? So I think holistic medicine has a place there, because holistic medicine promises that your energetic production, your sleep, your sense of safety, your sense of what's the opposite of anxiety? Security, I would say, safety, peace, contentment, or satisfaction, or what? So we want those, the new age movement or the self-growth movement is aiming at that, right? So I think there's a revolution happening in human consciousness where the next step is, I have my job, I have my business, I have my family, but I want to experience more in life, more. And people go and search for that more, The headline here is that hope, See, if you're taking psychiatric medication, you're still feeling a little bit despair of hopelessness, that I'm taking this pill, I'm not feeling the best, but I have to take it, but I want to feel better than what I'm feeling right now. And there is a conscience somewhere in your heart. You're saying, taking this pill is not the right thing for me to live the rest of my life, for taking a pill for my mental issues. Because it hurts the ego, it hurts the sense of pride, and it hurts a sense of something is not right to take a pill for my anxiety, for depression. I have to overcome my own internal challenges or my psychic challenges, right? But I can't do it alone. Because to taper, to get off meds is very risky, it's very hard. So your question is, we want to give them hope, we want to give them a sense of a roadmap, that it is a possible. If you put if you put 2 steps forward, we will put 4 steps, or we will match you, we will take 4 to match you. And that is our, our passion, to basically help people profoundly, not just superficially, but profoundly. Mostly, we get a lot of gratitude, thank yous, gratitude, a sense of humility, like wow, a sense of an oasis, like it's a very nurturing, protective, compassionate place. So it's like an oasis, like a shelter, right? Like a refuge, like from the pain and suffering of being alone and coping with all the mental illness or mental suffering. So there's an oasis. So when they leave, they do have a tinge of sadness and a tinge of satisfaction, a tinge of excitement at the same time, that they're leaving in a better shape than they came here. Now, some are substantially improved, some are moderately improved, some are really grateful and appreciative. It's not easy on them. It's not Club Med. Even though we try to soften the landing, so to speak, soften the it's not Club Med. It's your tapering is a grueling process. Working on yourself, looking at your own personality or your own patterns of looking at your own personality, looking at your own patterns of behavior, introspecting is painful sometimes. Looking at your own responsibility, your own culpability in your own life is also not easy, right? So it's not just like every day is like all fun, and all peace. But the end result is what motivates us and them to keep going, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel, right, so to speak. There is a relapse possibility and propensities. So the work has to be continued. As human beings with consciousness, we are always challenged, and we always, life situation keeps coming up, and so the propensity and the proclivity inherent of an addictive tendencies sometimes are reduced to a minimum, sometimes are triggered into activation. So especially with addiction, inner work is a permanent sense of work. And I think people who are in the field, people who have recovered for 10, 20, 30 years, they'll tell you it's like a constant, a daily tune-up or a constant tune-up to keep that sobriety or that, being clean and sober intact. Mm-hmm. That the self-healing starts with the intention of the human being to manifest healing inside. And so I want to go get some help that will help me strengthen the manifestation of my own intention to self-heal. Okay, so that's where homeopathy fits in, because homeopathy helps to trigger a self-healing process within the mind-body system. Whereas the conventional medicine either goes and says, okay, I'm in pain, physical pain, we'll give you something, I have headache, that will stop the pain from being experienced. Does it trigger a self-healing process? Is, I think, the demarcation line between this form of medicine and the other forms. And they both have a place, I think, maybe. But this, I think the self-healing propensity that exists in us is activated more by modalities like homeopathy. Toxicity produces disease, imbalance, and pain and suffering in the body. Basically, toxicity. And how the human being detoxifies is critical to optimum functioning. Now, where does toxicity come from? From what we ingest, from the air, from the food, and from emotions, right? So our model is that we are absorbing toxicity from our environment, from our food. So the lowest, the most minimal toxicity we introduce in us, the better our mind-body will work. Secondly, if we actualize or if we optimize our detoxification processes, our cellular function will naturally attain a normal, healthy functioning, which will make us normal, healthy. So diet and food play a critical role because we eat 3-4 meals a day, sometimes more, and then we have to eliminate that. So in our model, we try to eat organic 100%. We try to eat a balanced diet tailored to your needs, so to speak. And we have a detoxification regimen for 4 hours a day where we help the body detoxify all the things that the body needs to eliminate. And in modern society, we are exposed to more chemicals and more toxicity than our ancestors were. The way we live has in the environment, we ingest, we may drive a car, but we are inhaling the exhumes that we are throwing out. I may go from point A to B pretty fast, but in that process, I'm also accelerating my aging pretty fast. On one hand, we have the whole legacy of science and evidence that comes from science. Now, it means that basically, to put in a nutshell, an absence of evidence means evidence of absence. Now think about what I said. An absence of evidence does not mean it's an evidence of absence. But when there is an absence of an evidence, it means like, nope, it cannot be true. Now, in empirical medicine, which is like, I'll give you an example. I have allergies here, and I take something, which is homeopathic for seasonal allergies, and it's targeted for Arizona, pollen and grass. Whenever I take it, my allergies go down. Do I need evidence that this is really effective? No, because when I take it, I feel better. Oh, that could be placebo. Well, you take it, and if it goes down, is it a placebo too? Okay, it's a placebo. Well, if 5 people take it and it goes down too, your allergies, it's placebo? Oh, so there is this element of mutual distrust, suspicion, and some element of undermining, and an allegiance to a certain scientific process, and not any other processes of accumulating evidence, right? So, I don't really care if it's placebo or not. I get better at taking it, and I'm going to give it to my friends and family who I care for, and I say, look, take this and get better. And if they get better, that's great. If they don't, then I'll like, okay, you didn't get better, fine. You try something else, right? So that's my personal opinion about why there is a stigma there, right? Because we are committed, we have some sense of doubt about anything that we feel is a fraud or a deceit. No human being likes to be deceited or like subject of a scam, okay? But, when there is an empirical outcome of something, we need to respect that. We need to trust that. We need to trust or have a faith that certain medicines are completely legitimate, official, recognized in other countries, in other developed countries. So, and masses are accepting it and benefiting from it, right? So I think the awakening process that the whole world is probably going through, there will be a time will come when our sense of appreciating what works and what doesn't work is not clouded by our own subjective self interest.